Could the Falcons trade for the former first overall pick out of Georgia, Travon Walker, out of Jacksonville? Let's discuss what I believe is just a rumor right now, and that's probably giving it a little bit too much credit. So last night I was scrolling on Twitter and I came across this tweet from Sleeper Jaguars, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars Sleeper. I use Sleeper for fantasy football. I did not realize they had, team accounts for all 32 teams. But anywho, and they put this tweet out, and it's from Draft Campbell. I'm like, all right, who's this? So I click on Draft Campbell, and it's the guy who runs Walter Football. And I used to read all their stuff in like middle school and early high school. So I don't look at Walter Football as someone who is going to be breaking news and has a ton of great sources and things like that. But I figured with Atlanta's desperation for help at pass rusher, I'd be doing both of us a disservice if we at least didn't discuss the possibility, given that the Jags have a new, young, super young GM, and I could foresee a young GM going, you know what, I know everything, and I think it's best to pull the trigger on a trade that the previous regime made the selection for, and I want more draft picks for myself to use. So let's just proceed with caution, because I still don't think this has a very good chance of A, even being real, or B, happening at all. But if you are wondering, all right, what would it cost, right? This is my best projection-ish. First round pick from Atlanta to Jacksonville, pick number 15, in exchange for Walker and Jacksonville's second round pick. Basically, the Jags get to jump up 21 spots in the draft in exchange for Travon Walker. And in a loaded defensive end draft class, they could move up 21 spots, get a Travon Walker replacement, still have their top 5 pick too, by the way, and then they get to reset the clock a little bit at the edge rusher position, and they don't have to be in a rush to make a decision as to whether or not they want to make Walker one of the highest paid defenders in football, given how much Myles Garrett and Max Crosby just got paid, and Micah Parsons and those guys are up next soon. Now, Walker as a player, I don't think is going to live up to what you believe a first overall pick should look like, but man, he has been good the past 2 years in Duval. Back-to-back seasons with 10 or more sacks. Great run stopping as well, 23 tackles for loss. There is a lot to like about Travon Walker that sure has not looked better than the guy who went right after him, Aiden Hutchinson. And when you think first overall, you think, oh, that's a guy who has, Hall of Fame type of talent to his name and huge expectations. Maybe he doesn't quite live up to that billing, but he's still going to be a very good player for a decade in this league, and I think he's going to have great production. And I'm all about that for Atlanta. So if there's actually a chance they could go after Walker, I'd be aggressive in that pursuit. Imagine a front five for the Falcons where you've got Leonard Floyd, Travon Walker starting, Arnold Ebiketie and Braylon Trice coming off the bench. You've got Onyemata working up the middle to stop the run. Rook takes a big leap forward in year 2. Zach Harrison does the same in year 3. That might not be one of the best defensive fronts in football, but it's a vast improvement from what they had last year. So, circling back to the trade idea. Again, I understand that you might be looking at this as, blasphemy. And it's a myth, and it's not real. And I don't completely disagree with you, but can we at least find some common ground on when you're 32nd in sacks for the past 4 seasons, nothing should be out of reach. There should be no possibility or no player that we just turn our nose to because we feel like, oh, it's not going to happen. Yeah, then Luka got traded to the Lakers, so who knows? But now if you were Terry Fontenot and the young GM from Jacksonville gave you a call and said, listen, I want another first-round pick, and I want to give you Walker for my second rounder. Are you doing this deal? I'm typing A for accept in a heartbeat, and I'm not thinking twice about it. I'm not giving him a second opportunity to think it all over again. So I say yes, but I will acknowledge that this is not something that I think you guys should get your hopes up for. I'm not giving it a ton of juice. For now, it's a long shot dream. That's really the best way I can put it. But if there really is any validity to Jacksonville being open to trading Walker, the Falcons should be taking down cell towers in the Jacksonville area from all of the phone calls Fontenot is making. This should be something the Atlanta Falcons go balls to the walls for, right? They should not hold back at all. But this all comes under the umbrella of, is Walker truly available? Probably not. I doubt he really is, but I'm willing to kick the can on it just a little bit and pull on that string and see if anything comes out the other side. So, with that all being said, I hate to be the Debbie Downer. I don't expect this trade to happen, and I don't really expect Atlanta to make a splash addition. There's just not a plethora of good free agent edge rushers out there, and there's no one really available for trade that's worth giving up one of your few draft picks in this year's draft. So you probably have to take your medicine of, it's not a great year to be looking for a pass rusher in free agency or via trade. The great news is, it is a great year to be looking for a pass rusher in the draft. So go use your first and second round pick on an edge rusher. Build in the draft. Get young, cheap guys. And bet on yourself. You may not like that bet. You may not like the idea of betting on Terry Fontenot. But Fontenot should bet on himself. He's the GM with a scouting background. You need edge rushers. There's draft classes loaded with them. This is your opportunity. So go out there and find the top 2 pass rushers when you're on the clock. For the guys that you currently have, I mean, they've signed 2 notable names-ish. Leonard Floyd, much more notable. Speaking of former, first-round picks, he's bounced around the league the last couple of seasons, but he still put up solid numbers. 8.5 sacks with the Niners in 2024, with the Bills, with the Rams before that. There's a lot to like about Floyd as he enters probably the end of his career. Morgan Fox is a solid depth signing. I think he'll probably play more on the defensive line compared to Floyd, who will be an outside linebacker. But you could get a nice rotation of Fox and Zach Harrison going from the defensive end position. But no matter what, Atlanta has to make some type of move for pass rusher. If it's not going to be in the draft, then you try and get Travon Walker, which again, I don't think has a great chance of happening. But we can't ignore the fact that the Falcons have had different leading sack getters for 5 straight seasons. It goes past 2020, and unfortunately the screen's just not long enough. In fact, quick trivia here. Anyone want to guess the last player to lead the Falcons in sacks in back-to-back seasons? It's probably the name you're thinking of, unless you're thinking of John Abraham, which would be very depressing. You have to go back that far. It is Vic Beasley, and that was a decade ago. And the best performance they've gotten since then is Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree each getting 6.5 sacks. So, despite what I said about I don't think they're going to make a splash, Fontenot might look at this and go, I've got to make a splash. I at least have to try everything. I have to exhaust all options. And if that means I call Jacksonville because some YouTuber saw a tweet from Sleeper Jacksonville who referenced Walter Football that Walker could be available for a trade, then you should go down that path. They might laugh at you. And Terry, if you're watching and they do that, which I doubt you are, but I'm sorry. But after seeing this, I think you can all understand the frustration this fan base has with no success at that position for more or less the entire franchise's history, with a couple of bright spots here and there. So let's kind of wrap up the video with this question here. The Falcons last season had 31 sacks. Can they have more this year? Naturally, we want to be optimistic and be half glass full type of people and think it's hard to have less than 31, which they did the season before. And they added Leonard Floyd, and there's still the draft coming up, but they really haven't made a whole lot of additions to the pass rush. I'm going to say yes. Jimmy Lake's gone. Ulbrich and Raheem Morris should be able to do a better job of getting their guys in positions to be successful. But they're not going to clear up by a lot. I don't think they're going to get to 40 sacks for what it's worth. So, let me know in the comment section. O for over, U for under. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all again for tuning in. If you